Hello and welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. Well, it is an action-packed past couple of episodes, Liam, because we are unveiling our final with an asterisk team reveal. We say that, of course, because there will be changes inevitably. It happens all the time, especially with rookies. But we will say it is our
with
final
structure.
Yeah, I think last year we did final
Yeah,
because we did some unveilings like in the week leading into the into round one.
yeah.
And
I
I
can
was in,
guarantee you it's not going to stay this way.
yeah, it never does. And I
I'll,
was
I'll
in
tell you the
Brisbane
players.
this time
Yes,
last year
yeah.
for opening round.
I'll tell you the players that I think will not change, and then I'll tell you the players that I think might be changing when I go
Okay,
through it.
that's the
Just to
easiest way.
make it a little fairer on everyone.
Yep, exactly. Well, Liam, I'll hand the reins over to you. Of course, we are here to see your team unveiling. If you've missed it, well, you've missed my team unveiling. Just go back and you can either watch that on YouTube or listen to it, of course, on wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Pods, so on and so forth. So go and check that out. But
Yeah.
I will just quickly say, Liam, because I am handing the reins over to you, I feel as though it's only customary for me to take over your role and say, don't forget to check out, of course, if you're not following us on
Well, here we
socials,
go.
on YouTube, just search Supercoach Edge and you'll find us there. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of when our content drops from week to week. Spotify, Apple Pods, as I said. And don't forget to give us 5 stars if you've rated our content. If you don't, well, you don't have to, but would love it if you did. And you'd give us a smile and we won't be crying. You can also leave us a glowing review if you have time. And if you like us as well, that's the other thing. Twitter, geez, I'm digging a hole for us here. Twitter at supercoach_edge. You can find myself at DamoJ88. You can find Liam at Liam Evans _95. Facebook, Insta, TikTok. Just search Supercoach Edge and you'll find us there. How was
Oh,
that?
well done. That was good.
I wouldn't say it was good. It was okay. It was passable.
No, it was good. I was happy with that. I'd say that
Okay.
was good.
Well, that's good. That's good enough for
Well
me.
done.
Well,
Well
Liam, I
done.
am officially handing the reins over to you. Unveil your team. You are like the wizard behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz.
Is that a positive thing? I don't know.
Well, he
But
was kind of the villain, wasn't he, in a
yeah,
way? So,
yeah. All right. No, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited.
yep.
I just want to preface this with the fact that I said in the last episode, I don't see my team changing much
There's always
to
famous last words, isn't it?
it changing very not substantially, but
Mm,
just a few structural changes that I'm not super. I don't know about. But I'm going to show you my team in the way it sits right now, the way I had
yes.
it before. But I do think there's some changes that might revert back a little bit. But
Mm.
I'll highlight the players that are in the line, in the firing line, and those that are in the potential ins.
All
Ready
I'm
to run
hearing
in.
amongst all that is the key word of changes. All I hear is changes, changes, changes.
That's pretty much it. I'll be honest.
I'm look at you, David Bowie, with the amount of changes that you're doing.
All right, I don't think it's actually that many. When you say it, you'll understand. When
Okay.
you say it, you'll understand. All right. First up, we're gonna scroll. So this is just, by the way, we're gonna go for D1. Damon, who do you think
Mhm.
it is?
I'm gonna say you would. Well, seeing as though you're not in a straitjacket, Liam, I'm gonna say it's our man. She's nuts.
Well, actually, so I'm just gonna scroll a little bit just
Oh,
because
just to keep it
in
suspenseful.
D1, just a fair way
Is
down.
it Campbell
Bit of
Chesser?
a pod.
Is it your boy?
No, I think he's midfielder.
Oh,
Please, Damon. He's M1.
of course he
M1.
is.
No, I'm joking. Of course, it is Tarry Sheasel. Just started. Pretty self-explanatory. Um, like he's in 66.9% of teams should be 80%, 90%. He's a lock for a top six defender. I mean, you might get him cheaper. I don't know. What's he priced at? Um, Priced at 118. Like he might put out a score where he drops a bit in price. I don't know. I just don't think it's worth the trade. Lock him in. He's a captaincy option week to week. The round 12 buy, I don't love, but it is what it is. Get him in. Get him in your side. Number one. Love it.
Numero uno.
And I actually think it's interesting. I think when we look at the other players, we could see a few Roos sitting in the number one spot in each of these positions, I think, personally. Not right now. But by
Mm.
season's end, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a few of them sitting around that FM1, M2 sort of position, maybe F1 potentially R1,
Mm,
definitely
it's a fair
D1
point.
because I think Sheasel will be there. Next up, D2, um, Dane Zorko. Now he came into my side even before his early buy, when he did have that
Okay.
early buy. So it's not a case of he hasn't got the early buy. He was in there. Um, I like his seagull role in Brisbane's defence, and I didn't want to miss out on it. I think there's lots of free points for him. Um, I think he's another player like Sheasel that's going to give us some really, really good captaincy scores,
Mm.
or potential captaincy scores, especially with Brisbane's draw to start the season. I mean, let's have a quick look. I don't know if it's going to show me. No, of course it's not. So Sydney, West Coast, Geelong, Richmond, the Doggies, Collingwood, St Kilda, Gold Coast, North,
Mm.
Melbourne, Hawthorn, Essendon, Adelaide. I mean, I don't know. There's a decent run. I mean, technically, being premiers, every team is below you. So
Yeah,
technically, the whole
very
season's a
true.
good run. But I think there's a good run for him in terms of scores that he can have. And I think there's going to be some good points for him, like Sheasel. I mean, Sheasel's probably got a slightly tougher run to start the season. But I still think the two of them, quite happy with them as D1 and D2. So let's move on to D3. It is my boy Matty Roberts. I think um, he's been in my side since before the practice games. I was bullish on him. His end to last season, I really liked. His run, just sort of the role that he's playing, I liked. Um, been bullish on him. And I did have to still say felt pretty vindicated when we saw both the practice match and especially his opening round score of
Mm.
124. Didn't get the kickouts, which was interesting. I think a few people have sort of said, "Oh, is that an issue?" But he was actually the player that was being sought out with the kickouts. So Blakey, I think, took the majority of them, but often found Roberts, and Roberts then distributed it out of the
Mm.
back line. So that helped him to accumulate plenty of points as well, and lots of long kicks, which
It's
again
great.
give you lots and lots of points. I think the role looks good. Seems capable of scoring even if he doesn't have to find too much of the ball. The early buy round 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's round 3. Obviously, isn't ideal, but I'm pretty happy to lock him in personally, in that buy spot, in that R3, sorry, F3. Oh my God, in that
D3.
D3 spot. Got there eventually. Got there eventually. Next up, it's the next guy, number 8 in terms of ownership and defense, Harry Perryman. He is my D4. Um, I don't know. He's one that's come in. So I was running. I've had him for a while. He didn't really come in until the practice games for me. I think the role looks good for him in the CBAs, sort of that third string midfielder. Had 52% CBAs in the practice match. Um, I think I don't like is, as I think I mentioned on your team reveal, Damon, was that these two share a buy.
Mm.
I think it's kind of, I don't like it, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I've picked him,
Yeah.
obviously. Short could come in for him, but Short could also be a player that I look to pick that sort of slots in to make this a 5 deep
Mm.
defense as opposed to a 4 deep. That's what I had been running with until probably when Leak got named. When Leak
Yep.
got named, I kind of went, "Oh, we're okay. We've got
Yeah.
rookies now," which we don't necessarily. Um, so that's sort of the structure that you'll see when I flow through the rest of the team, how it will change, potentially. But yeah, so currently got 4 rookies, but Short is one that I am considering. I would like him to slot in here, for not for Matt Roberts, but obviously price wise would slot in here, and push everyone else down. Um, but yeah, so not currently my side. I don't mind Harry Perryman. He's probably one that I might consider pushing out for Short potentially. But Perryman's higher ownership makes me feel a bit less likely that I'm going to do that, just because 8% feels a bit more risky. So I do kind of think that I might go back to that sort of 5 deep defense.
Mm.
So now just keep in mind that these are all rookies. They're not necessarily where they're going to sit on my field in terms of
Yeah, starting team
round
for.
one starting team. So
Yep.
I'm going to do emergencies a bit later, but just sort of I'm just going through in terms of price and ownership. Next up, it is from my mob, Jackson Pryor, confirmed debut. Like I've said, I think he's got pretty decent job security. I know people were concerned because Mason Redmond didn't play, thought he'd be named, thought he might not be named in round one side, or back then the round zero side. I didn't really have that concern. We played, I think, 3 or 4 tall defenders. We weren't going to be doing that going into round one. I don't think we'll do that at any stage this year for tall defenders. Um, right, like Lewis Hayes wasn't going to make his debut with Ridley, Mackay, and Reid. Um, so yeah, Pryor I feel pretty safe with. I think he'll get decent job security. I don't think he'll be a sub risk. Like I don't think he won't be named the sub, and I don't imagine he'll be subbed out.
Mm.
Um, I think there's a bit of versatility in the way he can play, playing a bit more, pushing up onto the wing even. Should have some solid cash gen as that rookie in defence. That's it. That's it. I'm
Like it.
comfortable picking him. Next up, late addition. It is Luke Trainer, defender, obviously, for the Tigs, just named as having a debut. High ownership, 36.2%, kind of why I'm picking him, because I don't want to be left behind. But
Mm.
also with so few rookie options,
Yeah.
um, you kind of just have to pick the ones that we know we're going to get. Um, I also reckon that at 36%, he's probably going to go up when teams are named.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up closer to a 40, 50%
Yep.
ownership. Um, looked well enough, looked like he went well enough in the practice games, didn't play a full game in the official practice game. I don't think. I think he only played a
No.
half, but went pretty well. Think there's a chance potentially for him to be one that's upgraded, like I said, to a short, or it could be a prior. There'd be probably between those two, or potentially a pattern. I don't know. It could be one of those three. That I upgrade to a short if I do want to go that extra deep in a defense.
Like
Rounding out
it.
my defense, who is that? Is Ben Patton. I like his dual position um, capability here, I guess. Having that forward and defensive swing. Not that I have a forward that can be swung into defense, but just, when we are making upgrades,
Mm.
just the fact that I can move players around. Um, I think he's probably going to have enough job security to make some cash. I don't think he'll have massive scores. To me, I think Pryor and Patton potentially score similarly. I think Pryor
Mm.
maybe scores
Yeah.
slightly higher. Um, but I think it's horses for courses between the two of them. Based off that, I'd almost keep him just because he is a bit cheaper. I do think Pryor's job security for me personally is probably slightly higher.
Yep.
So that's the only thing. If you want to pay an extra 30K for job security,
Extra job security.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just one thing to consider. And last up is Zach Reed. I feel like is the burn boy from last year for most people. 119K. Job security is safe. I think he'll be a slow burn key position defender, though we did see that he scored quite well in the preseason match against the Cats. Can intercept, good kick, might take some kickouts as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
73, not bad.
yeah, 73. So I think, not a massive score, but decent enough, decent for that
Defender.
sort of
Yeah.
role. But I think job security is there as well, provided he doesn't get injured. That's it. That's the
That's
defender. So
it.
as I said, the biggest thing will be where the short starts in this defensive line, um, and which of my rookies I give up to bring him in.
Well, that was going to be my only question, Liam, was who would you forego if you're bringing in a short? Because that would make your defense um, practically the same as mine, but it may differ based upon the rookies that you go for. So who would make way, do you think, and the reasons behind that?
To me, realistically, it's probably between Pryor and Patton.
Yep.
Patton's got a higher ownership, so you kind of saved by that.
Yep.
Jackson Pryor's only at 8.7%. I do think Pryor's job security personally. I don't know enough about Patton. I think people were worried that he was going to be dropped because he had 2 goals kicked on him in the first quarter,
Mm.
um, which I can see. I don't know. There might need to be a scapegoat for Dean Cox from that game. Maybe it is Patton. I think he went okay after that.
Mm.
Um, so he might have decent job security. The extra 30K, 30, what is it, 36K, that'd be handy. It's probably between those two, really. I think Zach Reed, I'd lock him away. Cheap, same as trainer, cheap.
Mm.
Like you're not really going to get much benefit in dropping one of those two. Um, but yeah, it's probably between those two. Prior, maybe just because I do have Zach Reed, and I don't want to have too many of
Yeah.
the same players in the same line.
Yep.
I want to
And save a bit of
diversify
cash.
as much as possible. And then yeah, again, it's easier to get up to him without too much cash. That's where
Perfect.
we're at there. But
Like it.
obviously, depends on teams what happens when we actually get teams
Yeah.
named. All right, onto the midfield. Now my M1 spot has changed multiple times. Obviously started out with Bont. Bont didn't move out of my side. Then Bont got injured. Then the guy that is in M1 came into my side. Then Butters got in. No, sorry. Then Butters was M1. Then he got injured.
Yep. Same as
This
me.
guy's this guy that is currently my M1 has been in my side, I think, from the start. I don't think he's actually moved out. He just
So he's
slowly made his
been
way up the
promoted.
ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done a Bradbury.
Um, yeah, exactly. Until when was it? Until the Geelong game. The Geelong Brisbane game got cancelled, and then I fleetingly went, Lockie Neal. Could get
Mm.
him in. Then he
The old
got knocked
Chocky.
back to M2. Um, then Connor Rosie, looked at
Yep.
him. This guy got promoted back to M1. He's now firmly, I think, set at M1. I don't think it's going to change, but who knows? It is Caleb Sarong. It still shocks me. I would have thought he'd been much more than
Mm.
24.5% team.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about him in the last episode. We've seen how he can, how well he can score. We've seen him in like last season sort of have that real breakout in 2024. Just going to get his stats up. Some big scores, went on a big run early, but has a decent enough floor. Lower score of just 84, 85.
Yeah.
But some big ceiling scores there and plenty of hundreds. That's what I like to see. I think, like you said, I think Brayshaw went on a bit of a tear last year, potentially gets a bit more attention. Um, and Sarong in the practice game, I think he got rested a little bit. I don't think he played the
Yeah.
last quarter off the top of my head, but
Played up
had
forward
really
a bit more, I
good,
think.
yeah, and had good, really good points per minute.
Mm.
Absolutely solid. So if he had played the whole game, I think he would have more than turned up. Um, so there was no question that he would have turned up. So I think he is definitely one that you can be comfortable picking and locking away. Also has that really easy buy in round 13, I want to say,
Mm.
where it is just with
St
him
Kilda and them.
and St Kilda. Yeah. So
Like
lock
it.
him away. Happy with him. M2 was Connor Rosie.
Yeah, he was mine as well. I forgot to mention him with my team. Yeah. Until
I
he,
don't trust him.
what happened? It could
I
have.
don't even know. I
Is it
don't even
like
think
is
I've
he
seen it.
he stubbed his
I just don't
toe?
trust him.
Stubbed his toe. Is it syndesmosis? Is it his foot falling off? What's going on? Has he now got a
I don't
peg leg?
trust him. He came out and he's tried to like make everyone feel comfortable. He looks sketchy as. And it just gives me flashbacks to last year when he'd done like his hamstring got and
Oh
he was like,
yeah,
no, I'm fine. And then the next week came out and got subbed off in like the first quarter.
yeah. What are
I
they
don't trust
doing?
it. I don't
No.
trust it. So as much as I'm like, no, he just stubbed his toe, he'll be fine. No, I don't
Yeah.
care.
No. Exactly.
I
Get out
don't
of
care.
here. Get out of here, Connor.
As a result, who's come in? I can't remember.
Ooh.
Oh yes, I can remember. Sorry, I've got it written down here. It's a fair. I actually don't know how far down he is.
Yeah, he's a definite pod. I mean, in
Definite
comparison
pod,
to
6% ownership. It is LDU. Contract year. That's what we've got to look
no, it's
for.
true,
We've
very
got to look
true.
for contract year players.
Yeah, don't worry about Brayshaw. He's just signed the bloody
Yeah, yeah,
5 year
just
deal, whatever it was,
get stuff, piss
million
him
year
off.
deal. Yep,
Yeah,
he's going to go to shit now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Get LDU in. No, I think there's like looking again at his season last year. I just think he's got the role. Obviously, he does have that ability to have sort of those low scores. That's my biggest concern. He might be a bit of a placeholder, but did end the year quite well.
Mm,
With some decent scores. Obviously, that 94 not great, but went well enough. I don't know. It's just like it's contract year, but he's one that could potentially be moved around as well. I'm not sold on him in that position. I was looking at Brayshaw. Didn't really like the idea of Sarong and Brayshaw because it feels like if one's going to get attention, like it just feels like there might be a bit of, again, you want to diversify.
mm.
Um, but he's currently there. I don't hate the pick, but I'm not sold on it just yet.
He could benefit as well with Sheezel going into the engine room a bit more.
Yeah,
Could take attention away from LDU, which he's otherwise gotten first and
yeah.
foremost.
And I think with Wardlaw to come back as well,
Mm,
potentially eases his load a little bit. Um, yeah, did well in the practice match. I'm not against the pick personally, um, especially with the Dogs early on that first game with
mm.
basically no midfield. Could
Yeah,
be
it's
could be some good
true.
points for him.
Very good point.
M3, none other. How is he fifth? How is he fifth on the ownership? Clary Oliver,
Mm.
61. I also love that, forward, 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 forward,
Yeah.
forward. I just love that. Anyway. Clary Oliver. Um, Fallen Primo looks good. Looked like he is back to the Clary of old from his practice match. Get him in. I don't know. 451 could end up being a keeper
Snout and
at
trough,
worst. Yeah,
etc., etc.
juice, pig
Juice,
juice,
exactly.
absolute pig juice.
Yeah.
Um, get him in. I actually don't have anything else to say about Clary Oliver. Just
What do
do
you what
it.
do you think I'm celebrating with, Liam?
Some good old pig juice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fermented pig juice as well.
Just a
I mean, it's
disclaimer,
been a
do
while
not
since
drink
we
pig
got some
juice.
good. It's been a while since we got some good pig juice.
It's been a long while. Been a long while. The tap's been running dry.
That's all right. He's back. He's back, baby.
He's back.
Um, M4. Now this.
Mm.
mm,
If you got here, this is interesting. This could be season defining, I'll say, Liam. This could be team shaping.
this is a pick.
This is the nucleus of your
I actually don't
team.
know where he is. There he is, Adam
Good
Chera.
start.
So
Yep, it's good.
I really want Finn Callahan.
Hmm.
So Chera's been in this spot. I just think, as you said, Damon, you spoke about him sort of looking like he's back to that 2023 form, which let's just have a quick look while we're here. Career
And fully
stats.
fully fit as well.
Yeah, fully fit, 108.3, currently priced at 83.
Mm.
That's what, 25 points or so unders that he could
Yeah.
potentially, that's that upside. Even if he gets up to a 90, 95, 100, that should hopefully be enough to make some cash. And be a good scorer on field at the same time. I want Finn Callahan. I think I've got a way of getting him in, but I'm a bit wary of like I identified him before during the first practice match as a player that we could be looking at.
Mm.
He then popped off, and I was like, of course he has, and of course everyone's jumping on.
Yep.
Which it's one of
Like
those
Matt
things
Roberts.
where you're quite happy, but you're not happy.
Yeah, it's like you're
Um,
justified, but now everyone's jumping on. It's a
yeah,
weird
like Matt
feeling, isn't it?
Roberts. Matt Roberts was the one that killed
Yep.
me. I was like, you wanted him to go
Yeah.
like 100, where people are like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Perryman was that for
Um,
me as well.
yeah.
It's like, dang it.
Um, so yeah, Finn Callahan could be a potential swap for Chera.
Hmm.
I do have options to get him in. It's just dependent on how mid-priced heavy I want to go. I'm just a
Yeah.
bit cautious of that. And so just something to consider. But yeah, I do like the Chera pick, but he might be one that I look to wait on. It could also be a case of I start Chera and then potentially move him on to Callahan if Chera doesn't, you know, take off and
Yep.
Callahan comes out in the next game and scores 150 as well. Because he then has the bye. So, I can give him that extra game, pick him up after the bye, gives Chera a couple of games to see what he looks like, and then make that
Mm.
move. But we'll see. We'll see. I might even just start him. I don't know. Next up, M5. Now, it's a player that you spoke about, Damon, and he's dropped quite a bit now. He's down at 9.4%. It is James Peatling. So I've still got him in my side. Here's one option that this is what I'm talking about. He could be a player that turns into Callahan.
Mm.
Because when we get through the whole side, I've got a little bit of cash left over, enough to get him up to Callahan. There's other ways I could be doing it as well, which I might consider, just so I can maintain a little bit of cash in the bank just for some corrections at the back end, at the start of the season, just in case. I like Peatling because he is just inherent value just because he was sub so many times last season. So he's priced at an average of 65.5. I'm fairly certain, I can't remember the exact stats, but if you take out from last season his sub affected games, he ends up at about an average of 90. So
Mm.
it's sort of what, 25 points increase there. He's going to make
Yep.
cash. I think a lot of people got scared off with his score in the preseason gap match, the role. I don't even think you need to worry about the role because even without the role, he should be making enough points.
Yeah.
Enough money. Sorry, enough. He should be getting enough points to make money because he's just purely undervalued. Um, so I don't mind having him there. I don't mind shifting him up to a um, Callahan though either, just because of that lower ownership. So it does make it a little bit more risky. But I do think that there's value there. The bun benefit that I do see with some of these mid prices is we've got to consider that Bond is not out long term. So we do need to find a way of getting him in. And I do think that some of these mid-price players are a good stepping stone to get up to him because they're going to be closer to his price point. You don't need to sacrifice as much to get to him with that.
Yep. That
So
makes
just
sense.
one thing to consider there. Um, there we move into rookies. So I do have number 12 here, Finn O'Sullivan. It's really a toss-up between him and Noddy, Nathan O'Driscoll. I don't know. Like to me, they're
Mm.
like it's kind of like you got the player that hasn't played versus a player that's played, but I'm not I feel like there's more benefit to O'Sullivan, but I don't know if it's
Yeah.
there. I haven't there's not that exposed form that I've kind of got with O'Driscoll, like the senior body, a bit
Yeah.
less. I think there's more question marks on O'Driscoll,
Mm.
but logically the upside is on O'Driscoll in that sense because he's got the senior body.
Yeah.
So that's a toss up between those two in that spot. At this
Yeah.
stage,
I'm
it's
in the
just
same
O'Sullivan, just purely
conundrum.
because of the price point. I think if he plays that halfback role, if he gets named at halfback, I think I'm just going to start him
Yep.
because he looked really good when he did play that role. The issue I have with him is he's not an accumulator. Yeah, he uses the ball well, but I still think as a rookie, you're probably going to need those disposals,
Mm.
like the possession, sorry, to make sure you're scoring well enough, especially at that 199 price point. Um, yeah. So yeah, it's sort of between him and O'Driscoll there. I do like O'Driscoll, just again, senior body, sort of able to make that next step in his career. Looks like he's been sort of somewhat cemented in that midfield slash wing role. Um, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
Just there's
He's
just something not I don't know, just the wing role I think that concerns me a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like he scored 72. He got CBAs as well, and it's like, well, in the season proper, he's probably going to go back to the wing anyway. Like
Mm,
he had 43% CBAs. Historically, he's only had 10% CBAs when he played 2 games in 2024. But like prior to that, 2023, 10 games, zero CBAs, 2022, 12 games, 3% CBAs. So that's going to be dialed back. And it's like you worry about wingmen because they can get marooned on the opposite side to where the
That's
ball's
the
actually
issue.
being played.
Yeah,
Um, so compare that to, as you said, rightly so, with O'Sullivan. If he plays a half-back role, that's much more favourable.
Mm.
And he pushes up to the wing, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I
That's my yeah. That's what I'd like. I'd like if O'Sullivan plays back and we see that straight away, then I'm happy with that. I think I'd rather that over O'Driscoll
mm,
in that same spot. Next up, number 7 in terms of ownership, it is my boy Elijah Sardis. Good role, gonna make cash.
mm,
Do it.
do it.
Um, I think there's worry about sort of his role with Parish. I don't think Parish will be back in the side for another few weeks at least. Um,
What do you mean? He was photographed at training wearing slides.
yeah, exactly. I
You're saying
mean,
he wasn't
isn't
training
he? Isn't
in
he? Isn't he
slides?
in? Isn't he in?
Yeah, he was training with slides. That's just
Love
testing out
it.
his Achilles and
That's
his
it.
calf and everything else. That's part of the re rehab,
You can play
running
in
in
slides.
slides.
You can play. Oh, anyway, yeah. So I think he's going to have ample time in the midfield and ample opportunity to score. Been really impressed with him this pre-season, and I think that should hopefully continue on into the season proper and make us plenty of cash. Last up on field is Levi Ashcroft. Should come as no surprise. Six, I think, is the highest owned midfielder really, because you're not really
Mm,
picking the rest of them as midfielders.
yeah, true.
Even above Clary Oliver,
Mm,
69.9%.
ding
Um,
ding.
ding ding. I was just impressed with what I saw. Got some CBAs. Looks like he'll be able to able to score well wherever he is on the field, however he's used. Yeah, happy with him in that rookie rotation for me. Onto the bench, pretty similar to you, Nat Damon. First up, Mitch Nevitt. Um, Looked good in across the preseason. Huge raps from the coach from Dangerfield. Um, Looks like he is one that's going to have a good have a good season, make some cash. Could be one that I look to sort of start even.
Mm,
Um, but I think I'm probably more comfortable in these three
yeah,
than Nevitt. But again, maybe I'll trade in a non-playing player just to so I can loophole some
of
people.
course, of course you will. Maybe get Baldwin, Kane Baldwin back
Yeah,
from
that's
your.
it. I'll get him back. Get him back for the loophole option.
Now, Liam, for these next two, I'm just going to guess one of these
Oh
two
yes,
spots.
sorry. Yes, I should have asked you.
No, 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 it has to be, and I'm glad that I jump in now because it has to be a Campbell Chesser, which probably fits in that same category of what you're just chatting about, is a non-playing player.
Where is he? Where is my
He's
boy?
like 220 something, I think, from memory.
Where is
Oh
he?
wait,
Where's my boy?
you haven't
Have I missed
sorted it
him?
by. Are you going by ownership?
I want to see how much he's earned. There he is, my boy.
0.2%.
0.2%.
How is it? How is there no green tick, a green plus next to it, Liam?
Oh,
You've got
sorry.
to. Yeah, there you go.
There he
Ah,
is.
now all is right in the world, and he's in your team.
239. Too expensive for me right now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Apologies, mate.
Next up is similar to you, Lucas Camporeale. Didn't have him in until obviously the practice games, getting a debut. The thing I like about this, or the thing that I feel a bit more buoyed by, is that Carlton seem to pick a player each year that is sort of the rookie that they kind of persist with.
Mm, it's
Um,
true.
like a Hollands in the past,
Yeah, Cowan.
Cowan. Okay, there's only two I can think of, to be perfectly honest. Even like yeah, Motlop to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, Motlop. Yeah.
Probably not to the same level, but I just think though there's a player that they kind of do bring in that's a rookie and let them play. I don't know whether he'll like you said, I worry about his disposal efficiency, but I think from what I saw, he could find the ball, which was what I
Mm,
liked on the wing, but not in a way that he got seemed to be getting too caught up in the
yeah,
play, like still holding his position. Worry is obviously that again, as a winger, you can get left on the dead wing. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. I think at that price point, he doesn't need to make as many doesn't need the same level of points as a Sardis or an Ashcroft or an Everett to make cash, which is
very
what I
true.
like. And plays first up, so we get to see what the role is before, or get to see that he's not sub before we
Yep.
pick him. Last last spot. I don't even know how what the ownership of this guy is. 21.7%. Hugh Boxall. Looked impressive in the preseason games. One that I'm not sure if he does get the debut yet. If he does, he'll be in my side. If he doesn't, obviously we'll have to look for someone else. But yeah, it's hard to say with him at this stage. So that's the midfield. So two sort of primos, three, I want to say mid prices, and three rookies.
Yep.
It's where I think I'm going to line up. I don't imagine much wholesale change from that. The only thing I can really see is potentially Peatling becoming O'Sullivan. No, not O'Sullivan, sorry, Callahan.
Hmm.
Or Chera becoming Callahan, but and maybe LDU sort of just changing into another mid rookie, mid sorry primo. Um, but I don't hate him there. But yeah, it's probably most likely one of these two, probably Peatling, that does
Mm.
potentially get changed.
Yep. Yeah. In terms of structure, you're just comparing it to mine. You've got an extra mid in the form of LDU,
Yeah,
whereas I've gone one Primo and Sarong, Oliver, Chera, Callahan, Sanders. There's like the mid prices, and then the three rookies as well.
yeah, pretty similar. Next up, onto the rucks.
Mm.
I feel like this should come as no surprise. Tristan Cherry, Tom DeConnie,
Yeah.
Harry Boyd. I don't even know if I need to say anything more.
Yeah. The top
Cherry,
three.
captain option.
Mm.
Tom DeConning captain option as well. I don't think as consistently probably as Cherry, just because Cherry has
No.
that floor
Yeah.
from the tackles, but I think DeConning will be able to smash out some big scores as well. I'm not too worried about that. Just have to pick your week. Don't know whether against Nank is your best option.
No.
Um, and Harry Boyd is either a loophole at 99.1k and we're all happy, or he is a cash cow
And we're all
playing that sort
happy.
of yeah. I just seriously, he of all of the rucks, he should be at 100% because there's no downside.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why people are concerned.
Exactly.
There's no
We're happy either
downside.
way.
Seriously. Anyway,
Yep.
but yeah, that's it. I don't think the only player I have considered is Gorn.
Mm.
Um, I know a lot of people are saying Gorn's going to score 200 against Lockie Keefe um, on in round one. And Gorn does have a decent run to start the season, I will say.
Yeah.
So here's one I've considered. He has been in my side. Um,
Very pricey though. Like compared to if you're
yeah,
sticking with Cherry, the difference between DeConning and Gorn is what 121k. That's a
yeah,
lot of coin to find.
yeah. And I think the
Virtually
other
a
concern I
rookie.
have, 124.1k, is going to have to maintain that from the start of the season.
Mm.
Just takes one sort of down game for him to start dropping in price.
Yep.
I think the play potentially could even be to move DeConning onto Gorn
Yep.
sort of after 6, 7 weeks when Pitnet potentially comes back into the side.
Mm.
Hopefully DeConning's increased in price and Gorn's just probably hopefully just comes kind of a sideways trade.
Yeah.
Um, is what my goal is here. But looking at his 2025 run, it is not terrible. Um, I don't know if it's the best, but the thing that just I don't know. The thing that I think about with Gorn against Lockie Keefe is he did go up against Reedy and he, dominated Reedy, but he
Mm.
didn't dominate massively and score. It wasn't like he scored 200 in the preseason game.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I think everyone saying, oh, he's going to absolutely kill it. I'm not necessarily sure he goes that huge.
No. I've just done some sums quickly as you were chatting about
Yeah.
that using the plugin
Oh
which
yes.
is available on Twitter. I'll get up his username. But just it's virtually a plugin you can attach to your browser, and it allows you to make projections, and it automatically adds up how much a player's price fluctuates
Yep.
on the 3 round rolling average. So just looking at that with Gorn, if he scores 150, for example, in round one against Lockie Keefe, and then scores a 116 and a 119 in his next two against Cherry and then Wits, he only goes up 5.7k. Um,
Yeah, okay.
so obviously, it doesn't help that it's round one, because
Yeah,
if he
that's
scores big
yeah,
in round one, it means it drops out of the 3 round rolling cycle after the first price
just the
rise.
first run. Yeah.
So it's beneficial, but not
As
as
beneficial as it could
beneficial.
be.
Yeah, exactly. So if that makes
Mm.
sense. So
No, it's good to know. Good to
something
know.
to
A
think
good
about.
tool.
And sorry, that bloke's username is
Yep.
Peety901, which is spelled Piety 901. So really good. He's
Yeah,
developed it.
great tool.
Perfect tool. SC SuperCoach Projector, it's called. So you can even search that as well. I think he's got it developed for Firefox and Google Chrome as well. So check it out.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Get on it. Let's move on though to the forwards. Another player in F1 that hasn't changed all season is Jason Horne-Francis. Pretty bullish on him like you, Damon. I just don't is he's just gonna end as F1.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you just know
Start
he's
as
gonna be
F1,
F1.
end as F1.
Just get him in now.
Yeah.
I don't think like if you don't start him for say a Rankin, I feel like the two of them are gonna be similarly priced. Like I don't
Mm.
think Horn Francis is going to get to a point where he's so wildly overpriced that you can't get him in.
Yeah.
Like I think he probably maxes out at maybe like 600, 610 kind of thing. I don't think he's someone that goes absolutely nuts and goes massively over. I think the same with Rankin. I don't think he necessarily goes much over 550, 560. So to me, with those two, pick one. Um, or like you can be like me right now and pick two.
Oh,
I did
oh, look
bring
at
Rankin
this.
in. So Rankin came in again on the back of Short going out
Mm.
with those extra rookies. I just felt like I kind of liked the idea of more forward options, but I'm not sold on it. I like Rankin. I like that he got the mid time. I just
Mm.
think that, and I think he's going to be like F2 pretty much or F3 kind of player.
Yep.
Definitely top six forward, assuming he stays fit. Um, I just don't think he's going to price us out. So I think he'll be at a similar price
Mm.
point. So I think you can pick him up later if you don't want to start him. If you think there's other options that is going to score better in your starting side. I kind of got him in because I had Bailey Smith, um, who I don't have in this side, just because I really don't trust him. I don't know
Mm.
what it is. I think if Geelong had played round zero and I got to see him in one exposed match, I would have started him.
Yep.
But I haven't seen that and I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Mm.
The only thing that does I comfortable with is the fact that he is so highly owned at 60.9%.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm worried about not starting him is the fact that he is so highly owned. So if he does pop off or does look like he's going to be a good cash cow, um, I'm not starting him. That being said, I'm starting an extra primo. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of the goal of where I'd be trying to get with him anyway.
Yeah. Spot on.
But it just I guess will depend if I'm then running an extra rookie in defense. Do they score? Do they get me the
Mm.
same level of cash? It's just, yeah, it might be swings and roundabouts. But just something to consider there. Jack McRae comes in next. I can't believe that he is below Kako.
Yeah.
Like I
Incredible,
think
isn't it?
this, like I mean, I'm starting Kako just so everyone knows we're gonna get there. But my team name is Wacko for Kako, so it would
Yeah.
be
It's a given.
wrong if I didn't.
Yep.
But I just can't understand how he's 70.4% owned. Like
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't
Yeah, like do
know.
people see Jack McRae as too expensive? Like, is that like are they bargain
Surely
hunting going
not.
for Kako instead? Like,
You cannot be that. He's 392.2K. He scored
there's
100
there's
and
an
something
there's
in
an
the
absolute tight asses out there,
preseason.
Liam.
I know, but like, anyway, Jack
Yep,
McRae, get
does
him
make
in.
sense.
Absolute lock. Um, I think he'll be a top six sorry, forward. Um,
Easy.
easy. Get him in. Easy. Next up, Caleb Daniel again should be 100% ownership of all of the players here. He's
Yep.
got forward mid eligibility, which is nice. Um, but again, like he's just gonna absolutely kill it in that role.
Top six
For
forward.
yeah, the top. He's probably the only person that I think is going to compete with Horn Francis.
True.
For forward for F1, or maybe McRae. These three,
Yeah.
but I think Daniel gets there just for the cheap ball that he's going to get. Absolute
Mm.
cheap ball he's going to get out of defense for the Kangas. Damon, who's my F? What is it? Five. Who do you think? Who do you think I've got coming up?
Mm. I'm looking into the patented Supercoach Edge crystal ball, and I'm foreseeing a almost a dome, like a dome type structure, a shiny one at that. And I can hear like a voice from a mustachioed commentator
Who's it?
that they're talking about PayPal. Is it maybe no PayPal? Is it SPP? Is it the S? Was he picked up by SSP? No, it was it's got to be Pal Pepper.
Is it?
SPP, baked
No,
beans
no,
and
sorry.
spaghetti.
It's Pal Pepper.
Oh, Pal
Is
Pepper. Sorry,
his better known brother.
he's better known brother, well known. His other brother has
Um,
hair, and he doesn't have like a mustache, seedy mustache.
no, no, Sam Powell Pepper. He wasn't. He started in my side, I think, when Supercoach Team Picker opened. Then I
Mm,
kind of went a bit cold on him because I was like, oh, sub risk. Could he be up against, Berry? Could he be sub risk?
yeah,
And then I kind of went, no, he's like, I don't think he is.
nah,
And then I looked at his very consistent averages and was like, just pick him. Um, I think
craziness.
again, seeing him in the preseason gap match again be super consistent with his score just made me go, okay, like just it's fine.
Yeah, just get him in.
Like just to highlight this, look at his career stats. 67, 74, 69, 75, 74, 78, 64. It's all that kind of mid 70s to mid 60s. And I think that's going to be enough for him to make cash.
If he averages 70, just having using this fabulous
Yeah,
plugin, he is going to go up to a max price of 376.
yeah,
So almost 200K.
yeah. That's all he needs to do.
Yep,
70. Which, looking at this, is basically his average across his career.
exactly.
I mean, we're going to take out the 2024 where he got injured because there's going to be, I assume, a 36 and a 41.
Mm,
But the 41 would be injury affected, and I assume this one's sub affected. Um, but yeah, I think pretty solid pick, pretty safe pick. Get him in. I don't like his price tag. I don't like him at 180, but it is what it
mm,
is. I think pretty
yeah.
safe. Who we got next? Sam Davidson rounding it out. Looked good. I just want Bevo to come out and actually say he's debuting. That's the only
Yeah,
thing I'm
I know.
like, you're going to pick him out, you Bevo. We'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's just that we know he's going to play, but it's just that lingering doubt, given that he is Bevo. I don't know if you saw as well, just by the by, Footy Classified. They were talking about the use of players. Lloydie actually brought it up, and it was saying that like players are leaving off the back of them being mishandled or played out of
Oh, yes.
position. And I was
Yep.
like, exactly. Like I've never actually heard someone in the media say that. Like we've been saying it for ages. Like everyone, like in the footy fan community. But yeah, anyway, Bevo being
Finally
Bevo.
calling him out.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. So hopefully, I mean, he looks great in the preseason games. Um, looks a lock for F6. Looks like he's got the fitness. Should make plenty of cash for us in that spot. In F7, I do have Kako. I just don't trust him to score. Like, is a small forward. Like, I trust him. I trust his job security. He will not be dropped. Like, I don't know. He's gonna have to punch Brad Scott in the face to get dropped, I reckon. Um, the only
Whipping
reason he's not,
with his dreadlocks.
yeah, like I just can't imagine him getting dropped at all. Um, Other than for injury or to be rested. Like that's the only thing I can see. And that's not even being dropped.
I
That's
thought you
just
were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say, other than sleeping with his wife. That's,
no, no, because everyone would storm Brad Scott's house and be like, "Don't do it, don't care."
yeah, exactly. And you know what would come off the back of that? I reckon Brad Scott would probably shake his hand and be like, "Mate, that's fine. I
Well done.
respect you. Well done. You're in the team."
Oh,
Off the back of that, he's actually been promoted to captain. Sorry,
oh.
Zachariah. You're gonna have to give it over, mate.
But yeah, I don't. He's not. His the job security is so safe
Yeah,
that I'm comfortable picking him even as a small forward because he'll just be even if he's a slow burn. Um, it'll be fine. I think he could pop off though. Like I think he could have one of those games where he has a spike score, makes
true.
some cash, um, and it's okay. And it might be a player that sort of reignites his cash gen as well. That just sort of
Mm,
has a spike game every so often. Did well. The role looked decent enough. Um, like I think if he was a stay-at-home small forward, I'd be more worried. But he was getting up the ground, which I did like. So I think that gives him a little bit more potential for scoring.
97 in the preseason game. Very
Mm.
good.
Did kick 4 goals, so just I don't know, keep that in mind. He's not going to do that every week,
No, Ollie,
but
he should. He's in my team. He's got to.
he's got to. He's got to for my sake as well.
Yeah.
And then last spot in the forwards is Connor Stone. I don't know what else to say about him. He looked good enough
Mm,
in. He looked good enough. That's it.
yeah.
119K. He just did enough, and I think he will. I don't think there's any players that are looking likely to come back that will take his spot.
No. Yeah.
Whereas for Leak, that's my biggest concern. That's why he's not in my side.
Mm,
Purely just on the basis that I think if he is named this week, I think that there's potentially, when those suspensions end, he's one of those players that probably might lose his spot.
yep. Agreed.
That's it in terms of forwards. Um, Rankin's probably the one player that's on the block here. I think everyone else is pretty set in stone.
Yep.
And if I did trade Rankin, it's probably to a Bailey Smith just to get some more cash. And because of that ownership. And it probably helps me upgrade in the back line or potentially Peatling
Mm,
up to Finn Callahan, who I am a big fan of.
mm. Good
Just
player.
that sort of, again, that age bracket that he's about to take on to that next role.
Mm,
I take on to that next step in his career. In the flex,
hmm.
could be anyone. Who could
Could
it
be.
be? Damon, who do you think it is?
I
Any
think it's going
thoughts?
to be. I think it's going to be in like Flynn.
In like Flynn, 100%.
Yeah.
I think there's just there's no, again, there's a lot of upside to him. As a ruck, I'm going to be in. I don't know what his ownership is. There he is, 28.3%. Obviously, there's questions about his durability and potentially his job security. Obviously, with Bailey Williams, sorry. Um, but I just don't think it's the end of the world. Like I think he should be able to score well enough anyway.
Mm.
Looking at the preseason match, Flynn was overwhelmingly used as the ruckman over Bailey Williams. Obviously, Oscar Allen out. Potentially, Williams plays a bit more forward. They've also got Archer. I think it's Archer Reed is his name,
Mm.
uh, who's sort of that ruck forward position. Potentially, he plays up there. Um, but I think Flynn's going to get the majority of that ruck time. I don't think he goes forward to play as the forward. Um, so I'm pretty comfortable with him. The benefit as well is that he's sort of that higher price. Now I do have Finn O'Sullivan, but let's say that Finn O'Sullivan, but let's say I start with O'Driscoll, let's say Flynn fails, easy swap across to him. Let's say I pick O'Sullivan, Noddy Pitt drops, sorry. Noddy pops off and Flynn doesn't, easy swap over.
Mm.
And likewise, I think with there's Garcia under his
Yep,
price.
it's
Again,
true.
easy swap over. I think
Mm.
it's just that's what I'm sort of considering as those players. And the benefit is we know that Rucks tend to score quite well.
Yeah.
I think he then becomes an easy swap or easy trade to any other player once he's made that cash. So that's
Yep.
why he's there.
I like it. The I just will mention as well because I don't think we really touched on it in much detail in the ruck analysis episode, but I have seen some people and even in our Discord as well float the idea of potentially playing Matt Flynn in their R2 position, which they must have either very short memories or they weren't around for 2023, I think it was, when people were going for Cherry,
Mm-hmm.
when that was the season when he was stepping into
Mm.
that number one ruck mantle ahead of Goldstein. Played a really good quarter in round one, then got injured and was out for weeks and months.
Yeah.
And people that traded him, oh sorry, people that had him in their team had to trade him. And a majority of those people, because he was at a low price point, Cherry at that stage, they had to use two trades in order to fund the upgrade of Cherry to a Gorn who popped off a memory or a Grundy of that season. So you don't want to be handcuffing yourself because unless you're going into the season with money in the bank, which again, you kind of you know, selling yourself short if you're doing that. Um, it just doesn't make sense, I don't think. And especially considering that Flynn has that issue with durability in recent times, you can't trust him in R2. And that's the beauty of having him in the flex because if he goes down, as you've mentioned there, you can trade him to really anyone across any line. If you've got money in the bank, you can upgrade him. As you said, you can trade down, you can correct and do what you like, really. But it's just a worry there. People saying they're going to use him. I mean, it's high risk, high reward potentially because it means you're
Because you
not
can use that
starting
cash
with,
somewhere else.
yeah, you're not having a TDK, I imagine, um, or the like, and use that cash somewhere else, as you said. So just something to think about. And if you aren't familiar with it, go back and check it out that season. Look at the stats of 2023 with Cherry because it was not good.
Yes, I think that's a really good point with not starting with R2.
Mm,
One, based off, past experience, but looking at who, like, let's assume that, I don't know, it's round one, round two, round three, you haven't really made any cash. One, you're going to have to find cash to create that trade
mm,
to get him up to someone. But let's look at who, like, right now, under his price point, like, let's say you don't have any cash, there is no one that you could
yeah,
pick. Lockie
very
Keith,
good point.
potentially at 179.
For a
Liam
week or two,
Reedy,
if
yeah,
that, until brings
Liam
coming back.
Reedy, who we've just spoken about as being not a great necessary option, but two, um, and then it's right down, and you're looking at Archer Reed potentially, who's obviously playing as a forward,
Mm,
not even, but hasn't been named. We don't know. Um, and then you're right down to Harry Boyd at our cheapest
yeah,
price point. Like it's slim pickings.
yeah. I just had a look at Cherry's 2023 season. If you click into him, you'll be able to see it. He scored as a 35. I think it was in the first quarter in 19 minutes game time. Points per minute 1.8, and then didn't play again until round 17. His price point was 393.2K for that season, and I remember it clearly because people underneath him there wasn't any other
Mm.
options. So similar thing to Flynn, even though he's higher priced of that season, Cherry. It just goes to show there was no options there, and people were forced to waste a trade virtually to try and fund that upgrade of Cherry to someone else. So, same thing could potentially happen with Flynn. Knock on wood, it doesn't. But if you want to take that risk, um, go ahead because I mean it could pay off because if he stays injury free, Flynn makes 200K. Um, you can then flip him to someone else and sort of upgrade him first and foremost to a Gorn or a TDK or someone. But it just makes you wonder who have they got in the flex if that's the case.
Mm. I mean, I guess to speak to what I've had in the flex as well for the other players, it's always been a player around that price point, maybe slightly more expensive. Like I've had
Mm,
Hollands there. I think Peatling was there at one stage. Um, but it's always been sort of that mid pricer that I couldn't
yep.
fit in at another position or a rookie. So Finn O'Sullivan was there at one stage.
Mm,
And I think it's just that opportunity to me. I look at it as who's who's likely to be the best scorer, but also who can I get some more cash out of? Because the
yeah.
flex gives you that opportunity for another player to score.
Exactly.
Um, so you want someone that might pop off and be able to, have a good score, but you also want someone like to me, it was another opportunity to make cash. And if I can make a little extra cash quicker, I can upgrade a bit quicker.
Mm,
And that's where I'm looking at for that position personally. That's why I'm not really looking at a primo. I think
no.
I don't like the idea of a primo there. I think you're probably hurting yourself a little bit. Towards the
Mm,
end of the back end of the season, it probably becomes your 23rd player that we used to have to loop off the bench. Um, but yeah,
and I see it as much for muchness anyway. Just use an example as Flynn with R2. They're virtually not going for a TDK, for example. Like if they've got Cherry R1, Flynn R2, and instead of deconning, say using your team as an example in mine, they've got another primo, and it's just much for much. Just like TDK, I see as a primo, um, so they've gone for someone else. And for me, anyway, I think TDK's got the ceiling of most of the mid primos outside of obviously Bont and Butters and whatnot. It can match it with the best. So it's what do they say? Six of one, half a dozen the other. It's
yeah,
virtually the same thing in my eyes. Unless they're going for maybe an extra cash cow, they might be sort of shortfalling themselves, getting an extra cash cow in order to future invest on having more money to upgrade their team. I don't know, but even then that's a risk. But yeah, just Flynn at R2 doesn't make sense
feels
to me.
risky. No.
Yeah.
And I think as you said, like now I've taken TDK out. I've now got 674K.
Mm. Yep.
I'm not going to put that here. Like, here I can basically afford anyone that's available.
Yeah. Unless you
Um,
wanted to overload on players from one position that you can't fit in.
yeah,
Say, for example, like in the forwards, like because there's so many value options, if you had Horn Francis and Rankin already and you wanted to fit in, a more, I guess, but even
yeah.
then, it's not really worth doing.
Or maybe it is, you're going a ranking in your
Mm.
flex so that you can
Yep.
start Bailey Smith.
Yep. That's a good
Um,
example. Yep.
but I don't know. But even then, you probably still got a fair bit of cash left over.
Yeah.
Um, which then you might upgrade a chair into I don't know, a more primo mid. But
Mm.
even then, like, I just don't think. I think, like you said, it becomes much of a muchness. Like
Yeah.
you're not you're not really upgrading your team. You're kind of just spreading the cash
Yeah.
and potentially creating a bigger risk for yourself with Flynn at R2.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think the downside outweighs the upside in this case, I think anyway. But I mean, if people want to run with it, go with it. But I've just, memory just serves so clearly of what happened in 2023 with Cherry when he got injured early on, when people took the punt. But yeah, I mean, the one player that we haven't mentioned and who cycled through my flex at various stages was Luke Parker.
Yep.
Um, he probably fits in the same mold as a Flynn because, has the potential. He's shown in the past that he can score quite well. But
Yep.
the main thing with him is his role. And I think it's going to be quite fleeting until Wardlaw and the like come back. And that's kind of puts a bit of a cap and a bit of a
Mm.
timestamp on how well he can perform and for how long. And that kind of led me back to going to Flynn over Parker. But he was probably my other option outside of Flynn. DPP as well. Um, yeah, so that's virtually
And
the
I
other
think
player that I was thinking of.
had we been able to see Parker in the preseason, I think I'd be more
Mm,
comfortable picking him. But because we
yep,
haven't seen what the role looks like in any way in
yep.
actual form, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Makes a bit of a risk, doesn't
Mm.
it?
That's it.
Well, Liam, I think that pretty much does it. Very good
Pretty much.
unveiling. Lifted the curtain on your team, on my team. In terms of similarities, just to round things out and differences, looks as though you've gone an extra primo in the forward line compared to me. Whereas I've gone with kind of Bailey Smith.
Yep.
That's sort of the main difference of both of our forward lines. Uh, Ruck line the same, which is good. Um, Midfield, we have you've gone for an extra primo in LDU for the time being. I've gone for an extra sort of mid-pricer with upside
Mm.
in Callahan. And I have Sanders instead of Peatling. And then I have three rookies. So similar structure outside of that extra primo. And then the defense, I've gone for an extra mid-pricer in the
Mm.
form of short,
Yeah,
was you've gone for an extra rookie.
which I think will be similar.
Yeah, which
If I'm
balances
being
out.
honest, if I'm being honest, I do think that Rankin probably turns into Bailey Smith
Yep.
and Short comes in because I just don't trust those defensive rookies.
Yeah, and that's the main reason as well that I've changed my team, my structure,
Yeah.
for that reason, just because it seems every year the defense is the hardest to navigate. And
Mm.
even though I know that's the case, I always neglect it and get, you know, um, I get not blinded, but I get drawn in to
Mm.
the likes of midfielders and everything, and being like, oh, yep, I'll go for an extra primo in the midfield or an extra primo up forward if they do present, and neglect the defense. And I find it's the hardest to navigate. So it's probably, I think, at this time that it's a good time for me to change things up. And at least the good thing is that we've had a bit of a sneak peek at Roberts and Perryman that
Yeah.
saves a bit of headaches, at least with two spots for the
Yeah.
time being. And then Sheasel and Zorko, and then it's the other two spots. It's like, well, do you go for an extra mid-pricer in short who's done it before,
Yeah.
has burnt us, mind you, but can he get back there again? So don't mind it at all. Very similar structure, and I think it's similar in a sense. And yeah, people are probably wondering as well in terms of the thinking around downgrading Rankin to a Bailey Smith. You go either way if you wanted to, but it allows you a bit more cash to play with. And it's about chasing value as well. Like, Bailey Smith, if he can recapture averages from previous seasons, that's going to allow you enough cash to then upgrade your team to a better spot compared to if you're going for Rankin and a rookie, for example,
Hmm.
because it's like
And I
virtually
think, yeah,
averaging out pricing across two spots.
yeah. And I think on top of that, I'd be moving Rankin down to Bailey Smith to upgrade a rookie to
Mm,
like a Jaden Short, who I think
yep.
points differential of all of that worked out would work
Yeah,
out better. Probably most
exactly.
likely that way.
Well
Even just the
put.
Rankin versus Short should work out better.
Yep.
I hope.
Yeah, exactly.
I
In
hope.
theory, in theory.
In
Yeah.
theory, if Short continues on with his preseason form, which he never does, and I'm being sucked in yet again.
Yeah, don't worry. He's already sucked me in. I'm on board, Liam.
Yeah,
I'm on
I'll
board.
join you on the catch.
Yeah, please. Yes, exactly like Homer,
Yeah,
the old GIF, Homer and Bart and Lisa. Um, Well, Liam, that does round us out for your team unveiling, my team unveiling in the previous video as well. So that's how we sit heading into round one. Again, asterisk, caveat here. Things may change slash will change in the form of rookies, especially depending on how things line up for
yeah,
each team. But that's the crux of it in terms of structure, what we've gone with, reasonings behind each player, each selection, the way we've structured up each line by line. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, leave them down below if you are watching us on YouTube. And you can, Liam, hit us up across our socials as well, can't they?
yeah,
Twitter,
they can.
Insta, Facebook, any particular handles that we need to reel out?
Yes, on YouTube, if you search Supercoach Edge, don't forget to subscribe so you do know when content does drop from week to week, our content, so
Mm,
you can
very smart.
be there. You can be
Be
the
there.
first to hear it. You people can be the first to hear it. The what else do we got? We got Twitter.
Yep.
Search Supercoach Edge. Um, Supercoach. I actually don't know what our
Underscore
handle
edge.
is. Is it Supercoach underscore Edge?
Yep.
At Supercoach underscore Edge, yes. Damon at DavidJ88. Myself at Liam Evans underscore 95. And Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. Search Supercoach Edge, and you'll find us there. Got to get the muscle memory going. That's the thing.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Once that
Well,
happened, it rolls out.
It does. It rolls off the tongue. And I saw someone comment as well on the previous video, our analysis of the rucks, and someone was not perplexed but impressed, I think, with the ability of me to roll my tongue over 2024. And they're like, I'm surprised your tongue doesn't roll out of your mouth when you say 2024, because I say it that quick. But
2024.
yeah,
Yeah, you do.
2024. I don't know. It was 2024. So maybe I should start saying
2024.
2024.
And that was
But I
quick.
said, yeah, I said it's maybe it's a bit like a maybe I've got like a hidden talent, like a bit of Slim Shady. And AC
Oh,
says, I guess there's a little bit of Slim Shady in all of us. Let's all stand up. Exactly. Maybe I should rap on
next
one.
next
I'll rap.
episode, please. The whole
I'll rap.
episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say my team talk video, first episode for the season coming out of round one. I might just rap it, and I'll just say it. It's actually like scatting, like the scat man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't scat, but I'm a scat man.
Oh,
Oh, classic. Anyway, that's it. Before we descend into more delirium. Well, sorry, before we sign off, captains. Any
oh
loose
yes.
idea as to who you're thinking of at the moment? Don't have to go
No,
into too much detail, but
no, not entirely. I like, look, I'm probably just gonna go, these will be my top picks. Sheasel, Cherry. I mean, I don't have a loop option unless Boyd doesn't get up.
yeah,
And the issue will be actually if I do pick TDK, I can't go Cherry. If Oh no, I could go Cherry, sorry, yes. Because I could make that beforehand. Ignore me. Ignore me.
ah, yes,
I was thinking that I would have to put Boyd on the field before. I don't have to. Um, TDK is probably VC.
yep,
I like Cherry. I like Sheasel. I don't know if I like Sarong just because it is 37 degrees.
yeah,
Like it is very hot, but I don't know. You could smash the midfield there because he does. I mean, it'd be the temperature he would be used to. Or potentially a Zorko. Playing
yep.
against, who are they playing? Sydney.
Mm, that could be it. That could be one. Nope,
But
don't
I don't
mind it,
know.
Liam. Yep, similar to
We'll
me, I
see.
think, in terms of
Yeah.
um
It's always
who you
hard. The
are
first
looking
one's
at.
the hardest, I feel, because there's no exposed form.
Yeah, exactly. It's just guesswork. Well, Zorko past 3 games, 129, 120, and 114. Who
Yeah.
knows? But we might even tweet out who we're thinking of in terms of
Yes, that's a good
VCs
idea.
and
Yeah.
Cs. Go from there. As you said, stay tuned across our socials, especially Twitter, where we are most active.
Yeah.
And my tongue almost rolled out of my mouth then. And until then, hope you enjoyed our team unveiling. Comments, questions, hit us up as always. But all the very best for round one. So excited, Liam. It's
I
officially kicking
am.
off. Thanks again, and we'll
Thanks,
catch
guys.
you in the next one.
See ya.